Welcome to today's episode of Civvies. I'm joined by guest Andrew Bice here. We're going to hear more about his story, his transition out of the military to MetroStar and beyond. A lot of good things that we're covering with you, Andrew. And of course, we're going to talk about where we are right now later in the episode as well.
Welcome to Civvies, where we bridge military experience and civilian triumph. I'm Stephanie Holman, this season's new host and a former Army Medical Service Corps reservist turned technical recruiter. Over the years, I've tackled a variety of terrains from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. Join me as we gather stories and explore the intersection of military expertise and civilian opportunities, providing valuable insights for a seamless journey beyond the uniform. Welcome to Civvies, a podcast by MetroStar. Welcome to MetroStar's Civvies podcast, where we're making it our mission to make your military transition just a little bit better by sharing the stories of others that have come before you. I'm your host, Stephanie Holman, and joining me in the studio today is Andrew Bice. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. You're someone that needs no introduction here at MetroStar. For those that don't already know, Andrew was season one's podcast host. So we thought it was only fitting to invite you back to the studio for the first episode and put you in the opposite seat, the hot seat, and hear your story. Yeah,
awesome. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And, you know, it's awesome to see kind of the legacy of Civvies and what's that turned into kind of continue, progress, and grow. And, you know, I'm thankful to have you kind of carry that torch and take it and see where it goes. So it's exciting.
You've left me with big shoes to fill. I don't know if the AV guys want to get a view on the shoes, but you're a hard act to follow. So tell us a little bit just about, you know, yourself. We know obviously you're a Navy veteran. Tell us a little bit more about what you did in the Navy and how you made it to MetroStar.
Yeah, I can do that. I'll kind of start a little bit before that, kind of give context of why I joined the Navy and how I got there, because my story might be a little different than some, because you know, to each their own, right? But you have some guys who go in right after high school, who try college, don't make it through, you know, or they feel the calling, right? So I went to Texas Tech University. I graduated just because I thought that was the right thing to do, right? Get your college degree so you can get a real job. After that, I moved up to Ohio. I helped my brother start his lacrosse company.
Very cool.
I was living in his basement. I was making some really good cash out there, man. And I was just hanging out, to be honest. So after a little bit of doing that, I was like, hey, I do need to make real money. I want to be a big boy. I want to see what this real world's about, right? So after doing that, I kind of took a sidestep. I still helped him out with his awesome company. I worked for the Ohio Society of Certified Public Accountants. Yes, might sound kind of dry, and I don't want to bash on them. They do a lot of great work. But for where I was at, it wasn't the perfect role for me. So I was working in a cubicle. I did this for 2 years. So about a year into this, I looked outside. I saw the groundskeepers, the guys working on the yard and stuff.
Sure.
And I saw these guys just like weed eating, mowing, typical stuff. And I looked outside and I said, I would rather be outside mowing the lawn right now than where I'm at. I like being outdoors.
Right.
I'm like a physical guy. I've always been on sports teams. I like working in teams. So I was like, you know, I want to look for something like that. And where I'm at right now is not that. You know, it's not to discredit those people and the hard work they do and what they do. It's important. It just wasn't a fit for me at that time. So
I love the visual that you're setting up, right? I'm thinking of you shuffling papers and then you're at the window, right? And you pause. Yeah. And have this kind of
it's like,
big, deep thought.
Yeah. So it's like a black and white view right now. And it's like a flashback and it's me like frozen, like looking outside. And then it just went there. And I was like, wow, like I did what society told me to do. I went to college. I got the degree. I have the job. Something's not right. It's not fitting still.
Something was still missing.
Yeah. So I recognized that. And I had the privilege of experiencing that before I joined the military, right? This is kind of a little foreshadow, but you have those guys who never had the real job or never went to college.
Sure.
And what they see is in TV, what they see is in movies, where they have this idea in their head. They get out of the military and they get in those spots and like, holy crap, this is completely different than what I had in my head.
Right.
Right. So I was fortunate enough to have those life experiences. From there, I was my buddy, his name's Murph, a good guy. He was a boat guy, special warfare combat craft crewman, SWCC. He was going up at Ohio State, helping out the lacrosse team. I was fortunate enough to meet him. That's how I came to be a dirty boat guy, as we call ourselves, which is kind of another story. But he's like, hey, I want you to talk to all these other special force branches. I want you to figure out which one you want to do. And if you're still interested, we'll talk. I said, all right, sounds good.
So this is before you talk to a recruiter, walk into a recruiting station. So you're getting some intel. Okay.
I'm getting intel, like what would I want to do? I know where I'm at. I don't want to do that anymore. I know I miss being in a team. I know I want to join the military.
Right.
And I know I want to join special forces.
Okay.
That still leaves what branch, what's the day-to-day going to look like? There's a lot of like other things that is all hearsay. And sometimes you hear about recruiters in the military and they might not have the best reputation. They're trying to fill seats. They just want to get numbers, blah, blah, blah. Right.
Sure.
So it's like, before I dive into this, let me at least ask around a little bit.
And arm yourself with some information. It's a pretty smart approach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, sometimes I jump into things, which still happens quite often. I move fast, but for that one moment in time, I was like, I'm going to take my breath and I'm going to figure out which direction I go before I'm stuck there for a minimum of 6 years, depending on the contract. Right. So,
and we're talking active duty.
Yes. Okay. Active duty. I flirted with the idea of the reserves post-military once I got out. Where I was at, it was going to be like one foot was still in while one foot was out. I either had to separate or I was either going to be all in still or going to be all out.
Right, right.
So we can get to that. But so I talked to combat controller. They control airplanes in the Air Force, some PJs. Those are like medics. I was looking at MARSOC a little bit, Marines. So I was looking at all, and what was awesome at that point is I would find connections. I wasn't active on LinkedIn. This was like through a buddy. I'd like, hey, do you have any contacts here? He's like, here's a contact for this. Here's a contact for this guy. Here's a contact for this guy. I was like, all right, cool.
So can I dig into that a little bit? So you get the contacts, right? And you pick up the phone, you send an email. It's a straight call.
And like for me too, I'm like, I idolize each and every one of you. I want to be like you. You guys are like my heroes. Right. I'm not going to say that.
The reason I wanted to just dive into that because, military transitions, especially coming from active service to the civilian side, a lot of it is networking and connections and just picking up the phone, sending that email, the follow through, right?
Yes.
Someone might give us a list and say, hey, talk to these 5 people. They'd be great to follow up with. So I love that you mentioned that piece. I think that's so critically important that you just went after it. You just did it.
Yeah. And it's the same for when you get out. It's like, I'm looking for a job. Okay. The job's not going to come to you. How about you just call 3 people a day? Maybe you just have a conversation. Maybe you don't even like the person.
Right, right.
Worst case scenario, right? But hopefully they'll have another connection for you. Like it's a web, it grows. Here's another guy to talk to. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They don't have a job, but they may know somebody in the same industry that does.
So then what happened, right? So you make these calls.
I make these calls. Long story short, I'm like, hey, I want to be a SWCC. I want to be a boat guy. So I went back to that buddy who was local in the area. I'd call him all the time. I had a serious girlfriend who's now my wife. She stuck it out through me through all this stuff. And I was like, hey, I have questions about this. He answered them all. Then I started to train. I woke up at like 4:15 every morning. I went to the gym to swim because that my mentor, he was like, hey, the harder you train now, the easier it'll be when you get there.
Right.
Like, don't expect a cakewalk by any means. Training is designed to be hard. Just like life is designed to be hard. It's not supposed to be easy the whole time. You can ask anybody that, no matter what selection, whatever you choose to do, there's always going to be hardships. So he goes, you know, for training, just remember this, they're never going to kill you. Keep pushing through and don't stop. Don't ever quit. That's it.
Right.
Don't ever doubt yourself. So he's like, one thing though, it's water intensive, and everyone knows about once you get out there, the ocean is like the great equalizer. Mm-hmm. It's such a freaking, you know, Mother Nature.
Don't mess with it.
Don't mess with Mother Nature.
Underestimate it. Don't mess with it.
So he's like, he's like, how much do you swim? I was like, I swim on occasion. My mom would take me to the pool and I'd swim. He's like, all right, well, how about you start working on that? Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, that's easy. So, one of the coworkers I actually worked with, he swam at Ohio Wesleyan University on the swim team. And he was nice enough to meet me every morning at 5 a.m. We would swim for an hour and then we'd go to work. That was some of the toughest workouts that I did at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, when I got to the military, it got even harder, but just preparing. And then it took me about a year from training before I even signed up. So it took me a full year of training.
Were you already
I have the full job. I have my girlfriend. I have the cush life, and it still took me a year. So after that, you have to meet the standards in order to get picked up. You get picked up, you go to boot camp, you do boot camp, which is made to make, good military service members. It's not made to make superior fighting operators.
Gotcha.
So they know that. They understand the name of the game, and it's order, it's discipline. It's the whole reason anybody joins, right? It's to fight the big fight, right? In your own capacity. So it's not discrediting any military members and what they do. I think anybody joins the military, you know, they have a special place in my heart, obviously.
Right.
The vet community is very strong, and people need to keep leveraging that and reach out to as many people as they can, because last season, talking to people, it restored my faith in humanity. Mm-hmm. And like, the good people are always there. And to have people who come from the same background or cut from the same cloth, everything they say just like hits home a little bit more. It
resonates, and you have that common thread. I think, you definitely, were someone that I looked up to when I came into MetroStar, and we just had that kind of instant connection as military veterans, because we've experienced similar things with the military. Maybe not exact. That's perfect. But we've both been to boot camp, and so it's just this kind of common thread that you can pick up and chat with someone about. I
agree. That's like spot on. Like, I don't care what you did. You joined the military, you made the sacrifice. That's freaking awesome. I don't care how your relationship is post-military. You hated it, you loved it, you're indifferent about it. I don't care. But like, the fact that you did it, that says something about you. So
right.
I think people get lost in that sometimes.
So I want to go back a little bit. You were talking about the preparation, physically, the physical preparation, and getting yourself to a certain fitness level that you know, you had to meet some standards to come into the community that you did. How critically important has fitness been to you throughout your journey to stay mentally well, balanced?
It's everything. And I think people say, hey, this guy joined, like, was in the military, was in SOF. Physical fitness matters there. That's why he cares so much about it. Mm-hmm. Before I joined the military, I played lacrosse. I was always doing something. Right. So it wasn't just the military. Yes, it's like one thing that drew me to it, and it enhanced, like, it got better once I got there. And they instill that in everyone, right? Like, image matters. So when you show up in a room and you don't look like you work out, and you're going to go work with these other guys, they're going to look at you and say, I don't really know if I want to work with you guys. Like, for this line of work, maybe, you know what I mean? Like, your you carry your reputation and you show it, you wear it. So how you present yourself, right? How you look physically too, it matters. Mm-hmm. So another thing to that is, people, like, the ultimate flex I can do is I can take care of myself, so I'm not dependent on anybody. So people can be like, you know, that's like me, right? It's like a power move for me, like, in my head, like, hey, I've already worked out. I've already accomplished something. Like, I'm not going to listen until like people are just going to hold me back the whole time. I've already accomplished something.
Right.
If that makes sense. So once you transition out of the military too, right, you have so many demons, if you will. Like, I fight like a lot of things. Like, is this new job, does it carry as much purpose? Right. I gave up my friend group / family group where you spend more hours with them out of the day than you do your own family. Right. Like things were off balance family and work wise. Right. Maybe I didn't see that while I was in it because I was so mission focused. But now after the fact, right, I still struggle with purpose a little bit, right, on the day to day. And does it matter? Am I contributing? And then when I work out, like the clarity that's there afterwards, like a lot of the posts and stuff I do online are mid or post workout.
Yep.
It's like the most clear I usually am. Like, and if I don't work out for a week, don't come near me.
Somebody's going to know about it. Somebody's going to know. Yeah. That's how you stay. It's pretty obvious. That's how you stay in balance. And there's a lot of just dedication to that, continuous dedication. So it's not, hey, I'm going to pick up and just go for a run once a week. I mean, it seems like you're doing that multiple times.
Yeah. And I got 4 kids. I got a wife. I have a full-time job. So for people to tell me they don't have time and can't make time, it's an excuse, right? So yeah, maybe I'm only working out 15 minutes a day for 4 or 5 days a week. But I'm going to make it count while I am in there. It makes me like appreciate that time
You're
more.
Still at least committing to
I'm going to do something. Yeah. I'm not going to not do anything.
And how hard was it? I know I got some loaded questions today. I've been waiting for you.
Come on,
how hard was it to leave? Like what was the runway up to making that decision and saying, okay, I'm ready to punch?
That was second deployment. That was my second deployment. I have what? Okay. So at this point I have kids, right? And I was like, it's just going to be a quick 6 months. But the second deployment, I was like, all right, I'm missing home way more than I thought. This is not a good place. Right. So I was like, I recognize that. Obviously I knew it was going to be hard on my wife, and it was.
Right.
So that was like another catalyst. I don't want to say it was selfish in that regard. It's like, hey, I'm focusing on myself. But at that point, even I was like, something's not sitting right here.
Okay.
And that was my family life was taking such a back seat that I wasn't able to experience a 1-year-old birthday party until I got out of the military, because how deployment cycles work. I kept missing the first birthday.
The big milestone.
Yeah, I was like, that's the first birthday. And I was like, all right, I'll give a call on deployment. But I was like, something's got to change here. Something's got to change. I don't know what it is. It's like, it wasn't as strong as that one moment I had in the office where it's like, I need to get out of here.
Right.
But that was like the moment I was like, it clicked again. I was like, all right, something's going to change. And then it started to slow roll. And I was like, I even went to my leadership and I said, hey, I got to take a back seat this next go. I don't know what that looks like. Let's figure something out and we'll go from there. So from that, it was, hey, you're either going to have to deploy again sooner or you're just going to have to re-up. So it's like, thanks for the 2 options. I'll just deploy again sooner. Right. So it was almost like I couldn't leave right earlier and be gone longer. Like that wasn't the right answer. Right. They should have recognized that. But, so I knew a change had to happen. I was like, all right, I'm going to ride this out until I make peace with it. I'm going to cut ties again and I'm going to figure out what to do. And that's a whole nother beast. It's figuring out where you're going to go, what you're going to do. You're giving up everything you worked so hard for, because you have to go through a selection process. It's not like they just give you something, right? So you carry what you've done like a badge of honor. Like, hey, this is something I did and this is mine. Like I freaking did it.
Right. You earned it. No one can take it away from
and
you.
just to like, well, guess what? It's gone now. It's kind of maybe a little heavier to carry than what you think when it's gone. Like,
Right.
oh man, I'm not a SWCC anymore. I'm not cool anymore. Like, no, you still did it. But
so I want to dive into that a little bit more in a minute here. It sounds like when you were getting ready to transition out of the military, like intellectually, you kind of, you know, okay, you're missing some big milestones with your family, right? And it's coming at, now it's shifted. It's coming at a greater cost. Did you have a gut feeling? Are you a gut person? Do you listen to your gut when you make these kind of big decisions with transitioning? Like what, do you have that inner voice? Yes.
Besides, I will listen to my wife when she talks to me because she's very important in my life, right?
Smart man.
So I'll listen to her and then I'll listen to what I want to do. And what I tune out is everybody, I don't want to say tune out, but what doesn't carry as much weight are the people around me, right? I know I want to transition. All right. And then I'll be like, hey man, I don't know. I've been thinking about transitioning. And you got everybody like, nah, man, civilian life is stupid. It's dumb. Like,
right.
You're not going to make it. Like I've had multiple people give me advice to be like, dude, you were a boat guy. Yeah. Just like be happy making 40 to 60,000 right when you get out. And I'm like, it's like, you don't even know that I went to college and like, you're giving me this worldly advice that is honestly setting me up for a lower value than where I think I should be. Right.
Right.
And maybe we have higher expectations of ourselves, but at the same time, you don't want to discredit other people. Right. So a lot of people will talk to other people only to make their inner voice louder or hear what they want to hear and then make them do what they want to do anyway. So if I say, hey, I want to transition, you're like, no, you shouldn't, man. Even though I know I want to transition, I'll be like, well, maybe Stephanie doesn't really know what it's like anyway, right? Like I'm going to either discredit you or I'm going to push, I'm going to do what I want to do. And then with that, when I'm going through all these experiences in life, then they're valued as my personal experiences from my perspective. Then I can try to like, hey, maybe this person was right in this lane or in this aspect. I see that now. I'm a little hard-headed, sure. But at the same time, now I know.
Right.
You never know until you do something. So just freaking do it.
Right. And you had, you slowed your thought process down when you were getting all these, rapid bits of information from all over the place to kind of assess, is this something that I want to take in and listen to and act on? Yeah.
And either that or I was just so, like I said, I was so hard-headed. I didn't want to hear it.
Okay.
Because the military, like not everyone has your best interest at heart.
Right.
Either they're concerned with themselves or how they're going to get ahead. Focus on, well, how can I get more money? How can I get more popularity? Like you pick your poison. Usually they're after something a little bit too, but that's not always the case, right? You don't want to live life that way. That would not be a good way to live. But like I said, like even with like last season, when I talked to these people, I'd be like, they went through XYZ and they killed it. They're doing fine. Like they're still, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, so I was like, that's great. They did it. Now I'm going to go do it.
Recreate yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So leading up to your transition, it sounds like you got some input from maybe some folks, in your network or circle. Did you lean on any formal resources that most of the military community has been exposed to, like TAPS? Did you tap into TAPS or any of those?
I tapped into TAPS, baby.
Okay.
It was good. TAPS is a mandatory transition service because so many military people would transition. It'd either be a flop. We can talk about suicide rates, all these mental depression.
Right.
You just went from a community where you developed your whole life. You had your closest friends and now you're just cutting everything off and we're saying, see ya. So they recognize the problem. They're going to try to be like, all right, let's help people out.
Take us to present day. What are you doing now? Where are you at? What are you doing?
Yeah. So currently I work for Armaments Research Company. It's a small company. I think I was the 31st person hired, which is exactly what I was looking for. I wanted the small company. I liked my boss a lot and the guys I work with. It's good. It's like, it's like check, right? And now I get to shoot guns on the rig, which is awesome,
back
right?
Outside, yeah.
So I get to work with my hands again. I really miss that. So I work with my hands. I shoot guns. I get to go outside when I can. I get that balance, right? So I got to figure out another way for them to add jumping out of planes into their repertoire. But until we get there,
I would love to be a fly on the wall when you pitch that.
Yeah, I know. This is it right now, right? But I work for Armaments Research Company. You know, with that, we're advancing the warfighter again, right? I love that space because coming from the operator role on the front lines out there trying to do God's work, right? When I got out, that was the biggest shock, was actually how much money is getting pumped into this thing. Where is it going and what is it doing? Because it's not reflecting in the right areas. At least I don't think it is. And like I said earlier, like if I was one of the bad guys, I would like how our DoD runs right now. It's very slow. Yes, there's a process to it, but things do move slow. And I'd be doing a multitude of things to try to advance my technology, because that's going to be the catalyst that takes away the human factor, right? And that's what they're going towards, is like, yes, like as the American soldier, they're going to be hardworking, they're going to grit, they're going to get through it. They went through some of the toughest training in the world, so that, you know, physically and mentally they can do it. Well, now how do I do something without people involved? Because I know their people are better than us. Well, guess what? I got technology. It's going to do everything. I don't even have to worry about it.
It's going to do the rest.
Isn't that crazy? So now with my current company, we put sensors in guns that offer the amount of stuff we can do. I love it because it's from like a shooting perspective, right? A C2 element as well, command and control. I can see where weapons are oriented. I can see when discharges are made. There's a lot of other things that go into it too. When you pull in data, it's like, all right, I pull in these mass amounts of data. What can you collect? What can you do? That's where like the game changes, right? So maybe your weapon is at a certain level. Maybe you shoot a different style. There's a lot you can do with it, and it's cool. It's exciting. I love like being on the front lines of something like that, and to have a voice in it and like shift what gets done. Like
I can see it in your spirit right now. Your
cool.
eyes are absolutely so. Sounds like you've got something planned for us after this. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I do. And, you know, we'll get out to the range, and we'll see what that atmosphere looks like. We'll see who's a better shot.
Oh boy. Okay. I'm not the better shot here, just so we're all clear. Not happening. I'll try though. I'll show up.
Let's go.
Want to start with this guy or a pistol? You get to. I'll let you choose.
No, let's go. Let's go big.
Let's go with this.
Go big or
go
go
big.
home.
I like that.
I didn't come to mess around today.
But I am going to make you work a little bit.
Tell us what we're about to do.
We're going to load up this little guy here. We'll get some rounds down range. Yeah, we'll just take it one step at a time. Nothing crazy. So, yeah, one of the great things about my job is we put sensors in guns. With that, we got to test the sensor. So we also have to shoot the gun. So it's a nice little marriage there between work and play.
Yeah, absolutely. For the audience that wasn't here leading up to this, I have not shot a weapon in 6-7 years. It's been a long time. I know Andrew's all smiles, but he's definitely putting safety first. So we've done our safety briefings. He's going to walk me through this. So I walk out of here. Well.
You'll be just fine, Steph.
Everything
will be good.
All right.
You know, like I said, before I was doing this, when I looked out at those lawnmower dudes and I said, something's got to change, I made a change, and now I'm here. Yeah. And I'm like, we're in a good spot.
Now you're out, you're in your environment.
So I'm here, right? I'm just kind of relaxed. I take a deep breath, nothing to stress about, right? Click to safety, move my finger. Safety's back on, put it down. There we go. That easy.
Cool.
Don't look at the target. I didn't hit the target once. So I'm joking.
Wait, did you hit it?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Of course I did, right? We just shot, you guys.
All right.
That's it.
What'd you think? Am I gonna get thrown out of here?
No, you're gonna get A+.
All right,
I think you'll be invited back for some marksmanship.
Woo! Felt a little rusty.
Yeah.
Little nerves going through me since it's been so long, right?
Yes.
I almost forgot kind of placement of my hands, and weapons a little bit different than I'm used to.
Right. Yeah. So like that's something to think about too. Is when you're in that space for a while, everything that was new to you at one point, right? Like you get kind of like, is this a gun? Like I don't know how to operate a gun. I don't know how to plan, I don't know what to do. then you get used to that thing that was scary and hard. You get used to it. It becomes like second nature. Next thing you know, like it's there. But then you take a step back. Now you slowly come back to that same space. It's like, all right, let me reacclimate again. Let me take it one step at a time. It's just, you want to talk about transition, you want to talk about working out, anything, you got to start somewhere. Start at the foundational level and slowly move up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I was clearing my mind in that space, just, you know, it's like my mind just went empty. And then I zeroed into my breathing, right? Because your breathing is so important. How do we do? We got it. Let's bring this in.
You're ready for it now.
I want to be graded here. Yeah.
Well, absolutely. That's awesome. That's exciting. It's fun. That's cool. You did it. You're a freaking sharpshooter, man. And then here's your shot placement, right?
Okay.
So with this, you can analyze it and be like, all right, I'm shooting low. There's things you can do, adjust it up. I'm shooting bottom left. Things you can do, right? But like I said, you got to start somewhere. Everybody starts somewhere. Now you know, this is like for anything. Like, all right, you got to take the action.
Right.
I did it. Now how do I improve on it? So,
right.
You know, no matter what it is, you're in a freaking job you don't like. All right, don't start sucking at your job so you can start looking for another one. Do better at your current job so you can build on your resume and get in the spot you want to be. You know what I mean? There's like, you got to stay positive and you still got to contribute.
Right.
I think,
show up and do the work.
Exactly. I don't think people get too caught up in themselves.
So based on this, am I invited back to work with you?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
So describe your military to civilian transition in one word, and then tell me the why behind why you chose that word.
It was imminent. It was coming no matter what. Like, think about this too. How many people don't transition? Sadly, it's the ones that never make it out of the military because they usually use their life, right?
Right.
But for everybody else, it doesn't matter if you're a 4-star general, you're an E-dog. Your time is going to come eventually. That sun's going to set on your little paradise. It's coming. So you might as well take advantage of the good people that you can, reach out to other people. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like this goes back to like, right. I'll sidetrack here. So like, here's something crazy. How did I end up at MetroStar? It was through social media, right? It was through LinkedIn.
Right.
I know some people don't want to hear that. They train in the military. Don't wear a wedding ring on deployment. They're going to know you're married and they're going to come after your kids, right? Like they say stuff like that. They're like, don't post anything on social media at all. Like you're jeopardizing not only the mission, right? Of course, you don't want to say like, we're doing this X, Y, Z, but even like pictures of like a family that's like just me and my wife out to like dinner or whatever. Right. So like I kind of got gun shy doing anything like that. Right. And then right before you leave, they're like, oh, you don't have a social account. Like, I'm like, no. They're like, you better do it. I'm like, I don't know. Like I've been so ingrained not to, and then I did it. Right. And then I did it. Now it's like a beast. But there was a guy, his name's John. He's like, he posted my LinkedIn profile. He's like, hey, this guy's looking for a gig.
Oh, okay.
And
like an open to work.
Oh, it was open. It was like for everyone to see. Like he blasted it on his network. And
this is before you left the military?
This is before.
Okay.
This is before.
How many months before?
Oh man. I think it was coming up to the wire, maybe three months before.
So
it was close.
Short.
It was close. And I was like, man, here's another thing. I keep going through all these interview processes. I make it to the 4th round, the final boss, right? And then it wouldn't pan out. So maybe that's on me. Maybe I'm not the best candidate. That's fine. But it went from, hey, I'm having a job. I have a job here. Like, honey, let's start looking at this. I'm about to go to the final round. I'm crushing it. Right. Maybe it's just me thinking I'm doing, good, I'm like, right. I'm the best. They're going to hire me. And then it's like, oh, it didn't work Monday. Out. Yeah. But that happened maybe four times. And like, so for people when they transition, just to get like stuck, like, oh, here's another company that's going to pretend to see me and interview me, but I don't know if it's just for numbers or it's just because I'm in the military. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Is this just to say I talked to some special forces dude? I don't know. Right. So
do you remember the positions that you applied for prior to coming to MetroStar? And like, I want to dive into how did you translate your military resume to X, Y, and Z?
Yeah. So we talked about TAPS, right?
Yep.
So I was privileged enough to go through the Honor Foundation, which is another program dedicated to Special Operations Forces and their support to go from military to civilian.
Okay.
That is their whole purpose. So the best thing about them is I can use them for the rest of my life. If I get fired today, I can reach out to them and I have access to their network. It's good people they know the struggles behind it, right? And they know TAPS isn't going to get it. So with that program, yes, they know how to make sure your resume looks good. They know how do you talk military jargon to civilian people?
How do you translate it? Sure.
Right. But with a lot of that, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that everybody can use, right? You talk about, hey, like I've worked with diverse people from all over the world, all over the country. We come in one spot. We all work together. They don't care background, age, anything.
Right.
It's like, can you do your job and can you help me progress our job further too? Right. So it's like, can you be a team player? Can you do your job? Can you work with other people? Yes, you can. Right. Can you do things that most people are afraid of? Yes. You committed to joining the military. Like who wants to go in harm's way? Nobody.
Right.
Majority of people, nobody, you know what I mean? Like, so I think you got to look at yourself and you got to build yourself. I don't know if it's like a mirror prep talk. Let's freaking cool. I did this. Like,
well, I think that helps.
You gotta do
it's
something that.
Public speaking, you got to practice. But so you got the resume prep. Did you have any interview prep? You talked about so you went to a couple interviews. It didn't end the way you wanted it to end, right? And so we're left with that question of what did I miss? Yeah.
So obviously I'm the best interviewer, so I'm obviously going to blame whoever it was a problem on the other end, not me.
Of course.
No, with interview prep, you can Google common questions asked, right? So through the program, yes, I did mock interviews. Usually I would talk to somebody within the company. That's another big one to backdoor your way in if you can. That's like a huge win, right? So that's why another thing in networking and talking to people, they can kind of give you cheat codes a little bit.
Can you get specific? So when you're talking about connecting with folks that are already working at your desired company, what do you specifically mean? Like on LinkedIn, are you typing in the company name and then pulling the list of people? Like how do you actually search?
Yeah. So I'll either catch wind of a job either on LinkedIn or a company I find. And I was like, this looks like a cool company. I'm going to Google it, see if they have any open positions. Oh, they do.
Okay.
Now I'm going on LinkedIn. I'm hunting this random dude down. But guess what? He was in the Army. He was in the Navy.
Okay.
He maybe not have a position. Maybe he's like, dude, I can't help you, but talk to this guy. Boom. There's another way in.
So now, working those military connections. And would you say, like from your experience, you had a pretty successful rate of folks responding back to you, answering the direct messages that you might have sent saying, hey, I see you work at this company. Like, how was that? Because you have that common ground, right?
I've been spammed a couple times. People think I'm coming at them. No, I'd say I wouldn't expect 100% rate for sure. And I would say I would be happy with the 50-50. I would be happy with that. And even if you're even if you're not in the military and you're looking to find a way into a job, nobody's stopping you. Just reach out to somebody.
Right.
I don't care who you are. But for the military, I'd be like, dude, I saw you're in the Army. Guess what? I was in the Navy. I really respect your background. Like usually that carries some weight, like I said earlier.
So are you sending a chat GPT generated message?
No.
Are you just going for it as Andrew?
Yeah, no, strictly it's straight up me every time. Yeah. And I say bro, and I say dude, and I say brother. It's me.
So you stay authentic.
I do. And I don't say it long-winded. I don't make it formal. Know your audience. This is going to be a bro talk. That's how I play it.
I love it. So bring us up to date. So you it sounds like you networked a bit. Your buddy posted that you were open to work, and walk me through how you landed here at MetroStar and what you did. Yeah.
So that's funny. So I talked to Jack. He's an animal. He's a good dude. So this goes into a whole nother reason of why you reach out to people. I could talk to maybe 2 people within the company and I get a feel for how these people are, or these people I talk to. Maybe I'm not a good fit. Maybe I'll ask them about the culture. What's it like over there? Hey dude, it's like the team space. It's chill. Okay. I'll entertain that idea. Let me talk to somebody.
Okay.
Right. They accept you for who you are or whatever. So here's another little bonus step. But so I talked to Jack and I was like, oh, this is a good dude. Like he is a good guy. It's probably because he was in a flat, like a bench seat pickup truck. And I was like, oh, this guy's cool. Just because I want a bench seat pickup truck. That's a whole nother conversation. But like a good old boy. But I was like, oh, he's really nice. He's like, hey, this is what we do. So I was like, yes, I want to do military things out of the military or support the military without being gone 90% of the time, not knowing when I'm coming home, etc. Right. So it's like, I was looking for like, how do I support the mission? It just in a different aspect. Right. So that's why I was like, all right, this is what MetroStar is like, right? How do we support the DoD space and how do we make them come up to date where they need to be? Because I've got a bunch of side stories of some problems with how things are run. But so I talked to him and he's like, hey, let's have a conversation with the CEO. And I was like, yes, absolutely.
And did you know at that time you were going to come in as a business development analyst? Did you already kind of have a targeted position identified? There
was a role open
as
a business development analyst. And I said, hey, what is this?
And how do I do it?
And how do I do it? It's like, all right, let me talk to, so I talked to Jack. He's like, all right, check this out. It's like, all right, cool. This is awesome. So things start lining up again. But at this point, how many times have I failed? How many interviews have I made it through where they cut the cord anyway? So I was like, here we go again. I'm not going to get my hopes up. I've learned my lesson, right? I've been humbled. So then I talked to Ali, the CEO, and Mo, a couple other folks. And I was like, all right, there seems to be a pattern here as far as just a great conversation. This was like another good person. So like, all right, there's another check in the box. I wanted to move to Florida. I wanted to move to Arizona. I want to move sunshine. But here I am talking to these people. It's aligning with the mission. It's aligning what I want to do. And I'm like, all right, this is shifting what I had in mind, but I'm going to go for it.
Okay. So gut
if
check
the opportunity arises again, yeah.
Things are aligning. It sounds like something you'd be interested in.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, let's just go for it. So things lined up. It worked out. I went into as a business development analyst, which is looking at certain opportunities that arise in the DoD space, what to go after with business development or growth or whatever you want to call it. It's sales, right? But it's not, it's enhancing what the end customer needs. So it's how do we best leverage ourselves to make the warfighter better? It's not about like, oh, how much money can I make? It's like, there's a problem with the soldiers who are going overseas and something needs to change. We're about to get a freaking gut check pretty soon if we keep doing what we're doing. So
what I'm hearing is you felt like a pretty deep sense of alignment with this role. It spoke to you on some level.
Yes. And then, yeah, absolutely. And then the people in the organization were under the same umbrella. And I was like, all right, I trust these guys. I'm going to go in and we'll see where this goes. So I knew they were going to be good people. They're going to take care of me and we'll just freaking ride this out. So with that, I got to work with Debbie as well. And I kind of, went into like a recruiter / I did like, I don't even know what I was doing. I don't think anybody knew what I was doing because I had flexibility to find myself and the encouragement from the leadership to be like, Andrew's just, I don't know if this was it, but I'll take it like this. He just transitioned. He's finding himself again. Like, let's best align him within the company. If that means we have to shift him around a little bit, that's fine. Let's figure out what's good for him.
Right.
So that speaks volumes for the company and the organization and the people in it. Like, people can talk crap all they want about their past employers, and they do. And when they get fired, they either blame somebody else or themselves. No, I don't care if you get fired because you didn't do your job. You never blame the people who hired you and gave you the opportunity. That's on the individual and the person. And I'm tired of people freaking blaming other people for their own problems, whether that's working out, whether it's mental stability, whatever it is. People need to start taking ownership. I get frustrated with that. That's another thing. Whole nother sidebar. We don't need to go down that road.
We'll have you back for another episode.
I know. That one I'll be fired up, but.
So walk me through, like, describe your first day at MetroStar. So you've just come out of the military.
Yeah.
This was your first civilian position. You're walking through the doors. I have so many questions here. How did you know what to wear? Did someone meet you at the door? Like, what was that? It's a tough mental first step to take forward.
Yeah, and
going into the unknown.
And I say this too. It's even different. I'll say there's two start dates for me with this company. One was the day I actually started, which means I was working remote from my house for 3 months until I moved up here.
Okay.
So I don't count that time. I count that, yes, I was here, but physically I was not here. And there is a difference. And I know a lot of people work remote now. That's another adjustment as far as military. You go into the office, you work 5 days a week, maybe you work the whole week because it is what it is, right? And now you go to a remote space where you're trapped in your office. Who do you talk to? You have a couple meetings and then what? Like, that's a pill to swallow, and that's different, and that takes time to get used to. So you have to find your balance and what works for you. You go work out or something, right? But so then the second start date is going to be when I showed up here to the office for the first time. So for the military, they teach you like two basic things. You always show up on time or earlier, and then you always show up in the right uniform. Very basic stuff. So when I showed up here, it was before 9:30, and it was contrary to what you see now with my beard and my facial hair. This isn't freaking, a lot of people get out of the military, they're going to grow their freaking scruff out. So just let it happen, and they're going to catfish you because they'll look all clean in the military. And then you're like, oh, you know what? I want to live a little bit. What's my hair look like? So anyway, I looked clean, right? So it's better to be overdressed than underdressed. And if you can't Google how to dress for your first day, just dress nice. Don't overthink it. Wear a tie if you want, but just go blazer like you're going to church. Then from that worst case scenario, you're overdressed. Okay. Well, guess what? You get to see what other people are like.
Big deal.
And you're like, okay, now I'm going to let the hair down. I'm going to let that beard grow out. Now I'm going to start dressing like I'm in the team space. I'm wearing freaking cool pants, flip flops, and you can see my sleeve tattoos, and I'll wear a black shirt with a skull on the front and put a dip in my mouth. I'm joking about that dip part, but that's like standard. Anyway, I never did. I don't have sleeves either, but.
So when you came in, physically for the first time, was there like a little bit of a culture shock for you?
I'll say a little bit. I came from the space prior to the military, so I worked in a cube. I knew the game a little bit.
Right. You'd had that.
But I kind of used that as I did, but I kind of used that as like a crutch, like, oh, I'll be used to this. This isn't a big deal. And I was like, wait a second. I don't want to say I circled back to like those days where I was, because it's not the same. I have a very different life now with kids, family. But when I came into MetroStar, the shock of it was, hey, like reality hit. It's like when you have a kid, you have 9 months, you're like, oh, I'm going to have a kid. Then the baby comes out, you're like, dude, like I have a kid. Like, what the heck? I didn't know that was going to happen. Like, it's real. It's happening. It's in my hands. I'm holding the baby.
Right.
So yeah, you get out of the military. You're out of the military. You're like, whoa. And then you go to the office and you're like, whoa, what is this? Like, I have to adjust now because it is not the same. And for those people who think it's going to be the same, or if they keep chasing what they had and they left, you're never going to freaking find it. It's gone. You left it.
Right.
Don't expect it to be the same. On
some level, you have to let a little bit of it go.
Yes. And that's a hard part too. Because think about what do we see all the time? Like on social, like maybe it's just my social feed. It's obviously geared to keep my dopamine going, but like, what do I see? I see military stuff. I see guys shooting. I see conflict. I see things where I'm like, oh, it's pulling me back. It's pulling me back a little bit. I can still get it. I can figure something out. I'm just going to go get it. It's like, whoa, pump the brakes, Rambo.
Right.
That's different different time. Like the best quote of all time is, no man enters the same river twice, for the water has changed and so is the man. So everything is changing. It's never going to be consistent. Like, you got to remember that. Like, That's tough. Maybe you're not as important or as cool as you thought too. I'm just joking.
So looking back, at your own transition, what's some advice that you would give to military members that are coming up on their own transition?
Grip and rip.
Break that down for me. What does that mean? I'm thinking of you gripping in the gym and pulling up, doing all the
We'll go ripcord on this one. We'll do the grip and pull, and then you're under canopy. Because it's like that, I guess, jumping out of a plane, right? Like you get the rush right when you exit the door, right? So you leave the military like, yes, it's happening. And then you have time when you get your job. Let's just say that's when you pull your cord, and then you're under canopy and it like sets in like the reality of it. So I'm going to say this. You gotta stay in a good mental space. I don't care what that does. You need to have friends and somebody to talk to. That's it. If you don't have a hobby, you better find one. If you can't work out because of some problems, disability, whatever, you can't move like you used to, figure out a way to move somehow. I'm sure. And if you can't, take it as it is. And then you got to find like ways to have a community still, because that community piece is going to be gone. The people you work with, unless you have a job where it fits the bill and it's exactly like it was somehow, sure. But you got to have community. You got to have like friends, like real friends, even Absolutely. If it's going to go from, I have 20 mandatory friends in the military. I have 20 friends. They're all good guys. We joke. It's like the same. No matter how old I get, there's always going to be an 18-year-old coming in. So we all stay 23 years old average. You ever think about that? Like no matter what, you have the old guy and the young guy, like we're all going to act like the same and coke and joke and have fun and be like, it's a good time. Right. And that's what's awesome about it. So, you're going to go from like 20 Mando friends and you're going to be like, oh man, I wonder how many, like I have like three good friends right now. I mean, I'm happy with that. I made peace with it.
Right.
And guess what? We're not jumping out of planes together. We're not shooting guns together. We're not going on some cool op, you know what I mean? And just working out together, you know what I mean? So it's shifted. And if I want those things, like I want to shoot still, yes. I want to jump still, yes. Right? Like maybe I'm not jumping. That's fine. I'll be able to do that in like a year, like with my boys, maybe some 3 close friends, but that'll come down the road.
Yeah.
If I can check a box, cool.
You remind me of just, no one does it alone. No one at any level. You need that support system.
Yes, absolutely. And then when you go alone and you don't have anyone to talk to or anything, that's when the downward spiral happens. That's what I think.
So take us to giving back here at MetroStar. Obviously you came in, business development analyst, learned a lot about that position, contributed to the company, and then this opportunity to, host the first season of Civvies came up. Like, what did that mean to you? And why did you say, yes, I want to be a part of this for the veteran community?
I think it's because I could relate to the struggles. Cause I was like, all right, I'm going through, I got a job. I don't. Going through, I got a job. I don't. Then you get so burned out and you're like, what the heck? And then you get out and you finally get a job. You're like, yes, now I can chill. Then you're like, wait a second, now I have some other struggles going on. What is happening? Everything's supposed to be like this cakewalk now. I did the hard stuff. Let's go do the chill stuff. And that's not the case. So then in Civvies and what it's become, it's like I said, it's like a therapy session for myself. Is looking back, I was like, holy, like I'm learning from this. I didn't expect for a lot of it. I had no idea the turns that were going to happen and how it went from them being in a hard spot to getting even harder. And I was like, holy crap, I'm going to take a moment and be grateful and thankful for where I'm at. And if you can get through like this crazy stuff, then I can do it. And that goes to like, you ever think about like the people who don't make it out, the people who die, right? People who are gone. You don't want to discredit them by like not giving each day like your best. You know, like what would their parents, what would their wife, what would their kids do? Just have them back for a day.
Right.
Like how lucky am I to be with my kids every night? Like how lucky.
The richest man in the world.
That's right.
Some would say.
The richest. Absolutely. Come at me, freaking financial gurus. How many kids do you have? Do they love you? I don't think so. Get out of here.
What were some of the biggest challenges with getting Civvies off the ground? And I'm not necessarily talking about like the production of it all, but were there any like mental hurdles for you to come into the host seat and say, okay, I want to be vulnerable, right? And show up in this way, connect with folks, tell their stories. Like, was that easy for you? Did that take some preparation?
You know, I don't think it did, just because it was like, this is a conversation. We're just going to talk and that's it. Like, what comes of it, comes of it. And hopefully we'll both be better by the end, which, I mean, I always felt better at the end. I hope they did too. Like getting that off their chest and for them, I feel like it was, I would say, more vulnerable for them to be like, this is my story. This is what happened. Maybe like reliving some of that stuff, I guess. But for them to expose that and be willing to share that just shows how much they're willing to give for other people. You know what I mean? Maybe that experienced something similar or went down the same path. And then it's like, oh, like it wasn't just me. Like, let's go. Like, let's all go together. Right? That's it. So
I was just going to ask you, do you think we're as different as we think we are? Or are we all more similar?
Ooh, that's crazy. That's freaking deep, Steph. I'll say there are things that make every person unique, especially perspective, but at the very basic levels, everybody wants to be a good person. Kind of. There's a caveat to that because there's some really bad people out there. But generally speaking, everybody wants to be a good person. They want to help each other out and they just want to be kind. You know what I mean? If you get caught up thinking that everybody's out for themselves and everybody's a piece of crap, you're never gonna be, because then that's all you will see. It's easy to see that. You look at politicians, you look at where money's going, you look at all this crazy stuff happening in the world all over. There's always something bad happening. You can either dwell on the bad or use that to fuel the good. Become better, help people out. And then for those people that are bad, tell them to. What's
your hope for Civvies? You put in a lot of, time, work, effort, blood, sweat, maybe some tears. I don't know, behind the scenes, but like what do you hope Civvies turns into? Or what do you hope for the impact to be?
Yeah, I don't know what it turns into. I think where the foundation is, I think it's at a good point to just keep growing. And I think what that's going to be is the human factor piece that connects everyone. And that's, like I said earlier, it's like, how can I help? Like right now, this isn't about me, or, you know what I mean? It's not. It's about how do you get to where you need to be? I was in that same seat. 10 years from now, I'm going to be the old dude who's like, oh, I used to be in the military. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
But I can still help those people in any way I can. And then you'll have the younger guy coming in and be like, hey, I'm fresh. This is how it looks. This is how it is now. And this is how you need to deal with it. So I hope those people just keep coming on and it just keeps getting better and better, which it will. So
absolutely. Well, thanks for all of your hard work that you did here at MetroStar and with building Civvies. So, Andrew, we got to get tactical with some rapid fire questions related to your current position. You're going to have 10 seconds or less on the clock to answer. No pressure.
Yeah, hold on. Let me buckle in
you need
for
some
this.
Water. Take a sip of water. You already touched on this a little bit, but like I said, 10 seconds or less. Okay. First thing that kind of comes to mind. What do you find most rewarding about being a platform test engineer?
Working with my hands, absolutely. And then having input to actually how the product goes from A to B. So I have a voice in how it looks on the end, which is awesome.
How did your experience in the military prepare you for your current role? Is there one thing that stands out?
Grit, get through it.
Love it.
That's it.
Last question for you. What advice would you give to other military veterans looking to transition into a role like yours?
Ooh, like mine? Mm-hmm. That's going to be, you're going to love this, right? You're going to have to reach out and network as much as you can and you're going to see what you like about roles and what do you like about yourself. And if you want to come into my role, you're going to have to come after my position and I will fight you for it.
Whoa. This just took a turn.
And then everybody gets the job. Yeah. Cause they all kick my ass.
Okay. I had 3 questions, but now I have 4. I gotta add this one in. How did you land your current position? Did you apply? Network? Was it a combination of the two? Someone you knew?
I love this.
Tell us.
This is it. This goes back to
give it to us.
Talking to somebody first, Sam. And I was talking to somebody that said a job opened up. I saw it. I was like, I'm going to reach out to this guy. Had a conversation. Then it led to one thing led to another. Then what that does, it gives you insight on the company, insight about yourself. Are you going to be happy here? Are they going to be happy with you? It's a win for everybody. That's it. You don't end up in some place that they don't want you anyway, right? You're not going to be happy.
It's a terrible situation.
What did I do?
It never ends well. Yeah. Andrew, it's been a pleasure. It's always good to see you. I know we talked a lot about LinkedIn, right? You've got a pretty big presence and following there. You share a lot about your workout.
3 is a good number. I got 3 people.
You know, your workouts and all that. Where can the audience find you in the future?
Yeah, just hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm active. I'm most active on that. And, you know, I've talked to, if they just DM me or whatever, hit me up. Andrew Bice is my name for those who don't know. But I've talked to so many people. It has been insane. But I've talked to guys who are like, hey, I want to join the military, like from like 18-year-old kids. I'm like, hey, dude, like I will give you as much advice as I can. If I can, I'll put you in touch with somebody who can. I've talked to people looking for jobs. I just talked to this Navy guy not too long ago. But I pushed him in another direction. Like if I can help, I will. And if it's not with me, that's fine.
Power of social media right here. Yeah. Connect with him.
I'll do it. And then I know Steph, you've been killing the game as well. And I'm sure you can speak to that. I'm sure that's all you deal with all day is people coming at you.
I'm going to go back to what you said, you know, take the step. What do you have to lose? Yeah. Send the message, pick up the phone, see where it goes. Maybe it goes nowhere, but maybe it gets you one step closer to where you want to be. Yeah. And I hope, that's another thing too, is I hope people don't take things so like personal too. Like, let's say I reach out to somebody and either they follow up or like, you know what I mean? Like you're only one person too. Right. And they should expect that. So I don't know. We never know.
Don't get oh, this person, I applied and I didn't get the job. Like that's the end of it. Like reach out again, go somebody else, go. Like keep moving.
We never know what's happening on the other end.
Yes, exactly. I think people just need to freak attack, like keep attacking. That's it. Just keep attacking. That's it.
Love it. Go. Until next time, Andrew.
Thanks, Steph. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. We are all done. Andrew Bice, thank you so much for joining us today on Civvies and telling your story. It's super powerful. I think it's going to continue resonating with so many service members out there who really need it during a critical time of transition. I love that you invited us out to your playground. Again, I can see it in your spirit, your eyes. This is your jam here.
Honestly, been a pleasure. You know, I hope people take value from this and feel free to reach out to me. And I'm excited to see where Civvies keeps going. So
absolutely.
Keep slaying.
Always a pleasure, Andrew.
Look at this. Always a pleasure. Come here, Steph. Get it.